Hello and welcome to the MCQ lecture series. In today's class, we are going to look at some of the important multiple choice questions with respect to Financial System 2, which is the economics general paper for SYBA. In this class, I'll start with chapter 3, which primarily looks at some of the important multilateral agencies like the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, BRICS Bank, etc. So in this class, I'll talk about International Monetary Fund. So let's get started. The first question is, the IMF was conceived at dash in 1944. When did the idea of International Monetary Fund was conceived? Whether it was A, during the Kyoto Protocol in 1944, B, the Bretton Woods Conference 1944, C, the Raisina Hill Conference 1944, or Shangri-La Conference 1944. So here the idea of International Monetary Fund was conceived at the Bretton Woods Conference in the year 1944. I am talking about when the idea was conceived and not when IMF was established. Okay, so the idea was conceived in 1944 at the Bretton Woods Conference and established in the year 1945. That means the International Monetary Fund was established in the year 1945 and it started functioning in the year 1947. So you can see that the idea of an International Monetary Fund sort of an entity was conceived in 1944 at the Bretton Woods Conference. Then later in 1945 it came into being and then it started functioning in the year 1947. So please pay attention to what the question is demanding. I hope this is pretty much clear. Let us now move to the next one. Dash also served as the international lender of last resort. So I hope you can recollect that when I was talking about the Reserve Bank of India, we had discussed one question called as dash is the lender of last resort in India, and the correct answer was Reserve Bank of India. So in case of India, the lender of last resort was the Reserve Bank of India. International lender of last resort is the question. So let us look at who was the lender or international lender of last resort, whether it was A, Reserve Bank of India, B, International Monetary Fund, C, IBRD or International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. This is the erstwhile name of World Bank, and then we have none of the above. So here the correct answer is IMF also served as the international lender of last resort, and therefore option B, International Monetary Fund, is the correct answer to this particular question. When the lender of last resort is with respect to India, it is the Reserve Bank of India. When it is with respect to international level per se, then it is International Monetary Fund. I hope both these questions are clear. Let us now move to the next one. A very obvious question: how many members are there in the International Monetary Fund? And the question is, the International Monetary Fund has dash member countries, and the underlying options are 170, 180, 190 and 200. So here a very factual sort of a question. So IMF has 190 member countries. So therefore option C, 190, is the correct answer to this question. I hope the question is clear. Let us now move to the next one. A very current sort of a question, which is but obvious with respect to International Monetary Fund, is who's the latest member or who became the latest member of International Monetary Fund. And the question is framed in this fashion: dash became the latest country to join IMF. Latest country to join International Monetary Fund. And the underlying options are A, Spain, B, France, C, Principality of Andorra, and India. So here the correct answer is option C, Principality of Andorra. It is a small country between France and Spain, so that is why the options are given to confuse you. But anyways, the latest member to join IMF is the Principality of Andorra, option C. I hope this is clear. Let us now move to the next one. IMF is lending money, but to whom? And the question is framed in this fashion: International Monetary Fund or IMF only lends to dash. Here this term is very important. It only lends to whom? Whether it lends only to private sector, only to civil society, only to governments, or only to people. So here the correct answer is it grants loans or it lends only to the governments, that too of the member countries. So here option C, governments of the member countries. Here I should be writing governments of member nations, then it makes more sense. So yeah, so International Monetary Fund only lends to governments of member nations or member countries. I hope this is clear. Let us now move to the next one, which talks about the objectives of IMF, and the question is framed in this fashion. Which of the following are objectives of International Monetary Fund? And the underlying options are: first is to promote exchange stability, second is monetary cooperation, third is eliminate exchange controls, fourth is all of the above. So here I'm giving you such questions and options in which we have answer as all of the above, because we want to cover up maximum objectives of IMF, and that is why here in this question all these 3 points, that means monetary cooperation, eliminating exchange controls, as well as promote stability or exchange stability to be very precise, are objectives of International Monetary Fund, and therefore option D, all of the above, is the correct answer to this particular question. Let us move to the next question, which again talks about the objectives of International Monetary Fund. Let us look at what are the underlying options available to us. Establishment of multilateral trade and payment system, promote trade by removing barriers, remove disequilibrium in balance of payment of the member nations, and all of the above. So here again we are looking at the objectives of International Monetary Fund, and fortunately all these 3 points talk about the objectives of International Monetary Fund. That means establishment of multilateral trade and payment system, promote trade by removing barriers, as well as removing disequilibrium in the balance of payment with respect to the member countries, or helping in removing this disequilibrium which exists in the balance of payment with respect to countries, and therefore option D, all of the above, is the correct answer to this particular question. I hope both these questions are clear. Let us now move to the next one, which again talks about the objectives, and the question is: the important objectives of International Monetary Fund are, and the underlying options are: expansion of capital investment in least developed countries, second is generating employment and income in underdeveloped countries or least developed countries or developing countries, C is help during emergencies, any emergency, but specifically with respect to financial emergencies, and all of the above. So here again the option D, all of the above, is the correct answer to this particular question, which talks about the objectives of International Monetary Fund, wherein it is helping the member nations during emergencies, it is trying to generate employment and income, and also expansion of capital investment in least developed countries or underdeveloped countries or developing countries. So here with respect to these 3 questions, that means question number 6, 7 and 8, I have covered 9 objectives of International Monetary Fund. They are: first is promote exchange stability, B is monetary cooperation, C is eliminating exchange controls, D is establishment of multilateral trade and payment systems. Then we have promote trade by removing barriers. Then we have removing disequilibrium in balance of payment, helping countries during emergencies. Then generation of employment as well as income per se in underdeveloped countries, and also expansion of capital investment in underdeveloped countries. So these are 9 important objectives of International Monetary Fund. I hope they are pretty much clear. Let us now move to the next question, which talks about the functions of International Monetary Fund, and the question is: which amongst the following are the functions of International Monetary Fund or IMF? The underlying options are: A, maintain exchange stability, B, provide financial assistance during balance of payment crisis, C is providing technical assistance and initiate advisory programs, obviously for the member nations, and then we have all of the above. So here again we are looking at the functions of International Monetary Fund, and all these points, that means providing financial assistance during BOP crisis, or providing technical assistance, or initiating certain programs, or maintaining exchange stabilization. All these points relates to the functions of International Monetary Fund, and therefore option D, all of the above, is the correct answer to this particular question. Again we are looking at next question number 10, which talks about functions of IMF, and the question is framed in this fashion: the functions of IMF are denoted by dash points. Let us look at what are the underlying options available to us. First is determination of par values of currencies, then we have credit facilities, then we have maintenance of liquidity, and then all of the above. So here again the functions of International Monetary Fund are denoted by all these 3 points, that means maintaining liquidity, credit facility, as well as determination of par value of currencies, and therefore option D, all of the above, is the correct answer to this question, which talks about the functions of International Monetary Fund. Now again the next question is in relation to important functions of IMF, and the question is dash are the important functions of International Monetary Fund. Let us look at the underlying options. First is maintain balance between demand and supply of currencies. Second is reducing trade restrictions, that means opening up economies. Then third is keeping an eye on the monetary as well as fiscal framework, that means both monetary as well as fiscal policy of a country or member nation. And last is all of the above. Here again, all these 3 points are talking about the important functions of International Monetary Fund. That means it is keeping an eye on the monetary as well as fiscal policies of member nations. It is helping in reducing trade barriers, and also it helps in maintaining the balance between the demand and supply of currencies per se. So here again, option D, all of the above, is the correct answer to this question. Now again, with respect to these 3 questions, that means question number 9, 10 and 11, we have seen 9 important functions of International Monetary Fund, and they are maintain exchange rate stability, provide financial assistance during balance of payment crisis, provide technical assistance and also initiate certain programs for the member nations, determination of par values of currencies, credit facilities, as well as maintenance of liquidity, and then we have keeping an eye on the monetary and fiscal setup of a country, then reducing trade restrictions and maintaining balance between demand and supply of currency. So these are important functions of International Monetary Fund, 9 different functions. I hope this is clear. Let us now move to the next question, which talks about the role of International Monetary Fund, and the question is the important roles of International Monetary Fund are dash, and the underlying options are a stable and fixed exchange rate system, that means provision of this, then we have reduction of poverty, then we have financial liberalization, and all of the above. So here important roles are denoted by all these points, that means to make sure that there is stability and there should be fixed exchange rate system, poverty should be reduced, and also there should be financial liberalization, and therefore option D, all of the above, is the correct answer to this question, which explicitly talks about important roles of International Monetary Fund. I hope the question is clear. Let us now move to the next one. Now we are looking at the management of International Monetary Fund, to be very precise, and the first question is with respect to the IMF Board of Governors, and the question is the International Monetary Fund Board of Governors, this Board of Governors consists of dash governors and alternate governors from each member country. So you will have this fellow and this fellow. So what are the numbers with respect to them? Whether it is 1 governor and 1 alternate governors, 2 governors and 2 alternate governors, 3 governors and 3 alternate governors, or 4 governors and 4 alternative governors. So here the correct answer is IMF Board of Governors consists of 1 governor and 1 alternate governor from each member country, and therefore option A, 1, is the correct answer to this question. I hope the question is clear. Let us now move to the next one. The IMF has International Monetary and Finance Committee, very important. This committee is also International Monetary and Finance Committee, IMFC of the International Monetary Fund, has dash members or consists of dash members, whether it is A 10 members, B 12 members, C 18 members, or D 24 members. So here the International Monetary Fund's IMFC or International Monetary and Finance Committee consists of option D, 24 members. So here the correct option is option D. I hope this is clear. Let us now move to the last question in this segment, which talks about the Development Committee of International Monetary Fund, and the question is framed in this fashion. The Development Committee is a joint committee of dash, or it is a joint committee wherein we have members from the Board of Governors of IMF and also World Bank. So how many members are there, are the part of this Development Committee, which is a joint committee which has dash members, and this joint committee has members from Board of Governors of IMF as well as World Bank. Okay, so how many members are there? Whether it is 10 members, 15 members, 20 members, or 25 members. So it's a joint committee of Board of Governors of Reserve Bank of India and World Bank, and it consists of 25 members. Option D, 25 members, is the correct answer, and it is called as the Development Committee. So I hope the questions with respect to International Monetary Fund are pretty much clear. In the next class, I'll talk about some of the questions, remaining questions with respect to IMF, and then start with World Bank. So please stay tuned for more. Thank you.